is the end of the days, Armageddon, whatnot. However, biblically, let's go to the end of the book, for the most part, Revelations, and let's go to 2012. And we'll see if it's talking about any type of end of days, final battles, or all that good stuff. I turn to Revelations 2012, and I'll read what it says. It says, "And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works." Now, what's important about this? Well, me being a former Christian, I say, devout at that, always heard about the book of life, the book of life, the book of life. So in my imagination as a young child, I'm figuring it's this 9 million page book with names galore in it, that's sitting on a cloud, like on a pedestal behind a golden gate. And you got a line of people at the door, like you see in the cartoons and the commercials, a line of people at the door just waiting to see if their name is called. If not, they hit the trap door, they go all the way down. That's pretty much the image that I guarantee the majority of us had as children and probably still have now as adults. Now, I'm not sure how many people are into metaphysics, but in metaphysics, we're speaking about things that are beyond perception. And I'm not exactly sure of how many people are really profound in critical thinking and really dare to be maybe Christians and open-minded thinkers, even though those are oxymoronic terms. But dead is a symbolic term, just as darkness, just as sleep. Now, to my understanding, there are 3 forms of ignorance in which we are born into this world possessing, and they're natural ignorances. Number 1 is the ignorance of knowledge. Just think, when you exit the womb, you've been accustomed to darkness for your entire 9-month life. So when you are first born from the womb, the first thing you see is light, and you don't know what it is. You don't understand it. You don't know where it came from. It just appeared. So we're ignorant of knowledge. Second thing we're ignorant of is understanding. Remember, Proverbs 4:7. With all thy getting, get understanding. But the third ignorance that we have, and to me the most profound, is the ignorance of wisdom. So as taken in the book, you'll see various themes of darkness, sometimes triple darkness, sometimes darkness, clouds, and thick darkness, those types of references to darkness. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light," and it separated the light from the darkness. In book of John 1:5, it says, "And the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness knew it not." So what is this darkness? That's the antithesis of light. Well, darkness is the ignorance of knowledge. And then we have sleep. You see the disciples asleep. You see people sleep and have been awakened. The sleep represents the ignorance of understanding. And then we have death. And then it's often mentions of death throughout the book. The death shall be awakened, shall be arisen. The resurrection. Dead represents the ignorance of wisdom, of self, of life, of history, of mind, of cosmos, these things, which is the worst form because of death, you don't return. When you're in hell, supposedly, in hell, you die forever. You're dead forever. But in heaven, there is everlasting life. So there has to be a contrast of death and life. Now, may not have thought of it this way, but we'll refer to the darkness, sleep, and death as knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. We'll interchange those. So when you are ignorant to the fact of knowledge, you are in darkness and therefore must be enlightened in knowledge. When you are ignorant to the fact of understanding, therefore you are asleep and therefore must be awakened in understanding. And when you are in the ignorance of wisdom, ultimate wisdom, then therefore you are dead and must be awakened. And as it says to the Christians, resurrected into life of wisdom. So, how does this relate to 2012? Well, it says that, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. So therefore, if we do this substitution, this x equals 3 substitution, that would say, and I saw the ignorant of wisdom, small and great, stand before God. Now, this book you have to understand, again, written by Jews. What is the purpose? I hate to say it because I have hatred toward no people, but it's for their own personal dominance and conquest of people. And if you look at the world today, that's pretty much what happens. So one of the most popular religions in the world, if I'm not mistaken, statistically, the largest following in the world follow Christianity. However, if I'm also not mistaken by statistics, the minority following of the world are Jews. When it says, if you've heard about this book of life, the big book with everybody's name that's going to heaven, have you ever been taught that the very, very adjacent line before that says, and their books were open? And then that line says, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. Now, books has an S, therefore it is plural. Now, the other book is singular. The book of life is singular. When it says another, that means that there is deception. Because if the book of life is turned from some people, and then they have the other books that are opened, then therefore, their book is not the book of life, so it is the book of dead. And Christians, this book is the book of the dead, the Bible. Not in the sense of its true understanding, but in the sense of its true purpose. Then it says, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books. Again, plural books. It didn't say the book of life, which were written in the books according to their works. I'm sorry, this is not the same book of life with the names, and these are not like accounting books that God needs in heaven that the angels are keeping tabs on who's there and who's not. Nah. Again, deception. Dead is wisdom, the lack of. So what this is saying is those ignorant in wisdom were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. So if you take notice, Christians very often, and you'll hear me say Christ and saints from time to time because this book and this belief makes people crazy according to how they approach people, how they approach life, and how they view the rest of the world. It's insane. You have no sense of any type of self-thought because everything is what God said. Now, when you are a Christian, you judge out of the Christian book. And by judging out of the Christian book, if this is the book of the dead, then you judge according to a death book, which means the book that lacks wisdom or causes you to lack wisdom. The importance of that says, and the sea gave up, which is 2013, and the sea gave up the dead, which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. All right, back to the interpretation and the symbolic meanings, as I've said, by dead. But now we introduce hell. What is hell? When you are going through things, when you have turmoil in your life, guess what? Your life is in chaos, often shambles, not understanding, misdirected. You don't have a clear mind, a clear perception of yourself or what your purpose is. So therefore, you are living in hell. Now, obviously, that means that one of these books in this verse is talking about something that's going to get you out of that because it is the antithesis of death, which is life. But the other book, which is the one that I'm holding in my hand, and maybe you are too, causes the chaos and confusion.